Turning an article that you've written into a video is a fantastic way that you can take the power of the written word that you've already taken the time to create and use it to tap into YouTube's massive user base. As the second largest search engine, it just makes sense for you to be repurposing your content into video so that you can use it on YouTube as often as possible. In this video, we're going to repurpose an article that I've written into a video that I can then share. The article that I want to work with is my Sheena Was a Man post. So here's PowerPoint. Let's go about creating a few slides for it. Now I've also got the written version of the blog post in a word processing document, and it begins here so that you can see how I use the word processing document as I actually go and record it. So first off, we need a title slide. So we want to change that into a title in the middle, and we'll call it what the blog post name was. Okay, and then next along the line is we talk about some Facebook. Now what I'm looking for is a point where I would want to switch to another slide and what kind of image I might want to use. So I say something about utter garbage. So here's what I do. When I decide that I want to have a next slide, I put in next slide. That way, as I'm reading it, when I'm recording it, I know that when I come to that point that I should hit the next slide button, which is a space bar, and have my presentation go on to the next slide. So let's create a new slide in Keynote, and we'll change this to one with a title and subtitle. And then we need a picture for this slide. So let's go to Flickr. We want to look for something with garbage. Oops. We want safe search on and I want only photos, and I want Creative Commons licensed, fine for use commercially. And then we'll do a search and see what Flickr comes back with for us that we can insert into our slideshow and get some visuals going on with that article that we're converting into a video. Now I've got lots of great pictures of garbage to pick from here. One of the things that I like to do sometimes though on Flickr is to have it sort by interesting instead. And usually the photos that come up when you sort by interesting are a little bit better technically than when you sort by relevant. But as you can see, they aren't always 100% relevant. So you may have to go back to relevant if what you find in the interesting section isn't quite good enough. Now that's a really cool photo of a dumpster, so I'm going to use that. And we go to view all sizes, and then we download the photo to our desktop. Save. And then we go back into Keynote, and we're going to change this photo out to that dumpster photo that we just chose. There's the dumpster photo. It looks good. And I need, of course, some sort of title for this. And where was I in that? Utter garbage. So that's the wording I use. And that's the wording that I'm going to carry on with in my slide. So now I need to go back to my Pages document and find the next part that I want to go to another slide. So maybe 2 paragraphs or so would be a good point to change the visual and to get a next slide. So let's do one here. And again, I put in this next slide notation for myself because I print out this document when it's ready for me to record when it's time. And when I have the next slide notation, I know that I should go on to the next slide. So my line here is toiling away at websites and AdSense and money. So let's go over to Flickr and see what we can find that fits that idea. What happens if we put in, and I'm just clicking back, what happens if I put in toiling? It'll be interesting to see what we get back for that search phrase. It's sorted by interesting for me. And all right, let's use this one. Good old Shakespearean fun, right? And we want to download that size. to the desktop, save it, go back over to our PowerPoint or our Keynote, create a new slide. We're going to change the photo to the one that we just picked from Flickr. And we're going to change our words here to match our presentation. So let's go back to our presentation, and right about here I should have another slide. And let's see, shock value is a key phrase that, or is a words that I use right here. So that would make a cool visual, something that represents shock value. So let's go back over to Flickr and we will search for shock and see what we can come up with. Maybe some electricity jumping about or something like that would be a cool picture to use. And it's taking, oh, there it goes. All right, so let's see. Anything with electricity or shocking. There's a volcano. That's a pretty cool picture. But none of these really fulfill exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm going to click on relevant and see if with relevant I get something a little bit more on point for what I'm looking for. No, I don't like any of these. All right, I'm going to put in electricity. To find a similar key phrase, we'll do interesting on electricity. And I just want something with a lot of visual impact, because if people are going to be watching the slideshow and listening to me narrate, they should have something interesting and attractive to be looking at as they're doing that. Alright, so I've got this sorted by interesting now. I like the light bulbs, but that isn't really shocking. But that might be what we will use, because we really shouldn't spend a day and a half looking for a picture. So let's go with the light bulbs, because that's kind of neat. We'll click on it, and then we'll go through and download the photo. We'll view all sizes, and then we will go through the download process. I'm going to save it to my desktop, and then I'll bring back up my Keynote, create a new slide, insert that photo of my light bulbs, and actually I want more light bulb in this shot, so I'm just changing the masking of the picture. And then our key phrase for that was what? Cheap shock value. Okay, now we want transitions between the slides. So I'm going to Command A and select all the slides. And then in this little menu, I'm going to pick a transition that I want to work between all of them. So let's go with the page flip. No. The iris. No. Scale is okay sometimes. Yeah, let's use scale. So now that's on all of the slides, and all that we have to do at this point is actually record it. So to record it, you're going to go to Play, Record Slideshow in Keynote, and in PowerPoint there's a similar option. So I will do that as I start to read the blog post. Now, of course, I've got the printed stuff out in front of me with my next slide prompts that I know when to click the next slide. And I started at number 4 by accident. So let's start at number 1, right? Here goes. This thing started with a Facebook post from Jason Moffat, and it stuck with me. It burned into my brain. I had dreams about it. Actually, it started years before Jason's post, but it was Jason's post where I first saw it addressed by somebody else. So a few months back, I think it was, I was cruising Facebook and avoiding work like my 8-year-old avoids brushing his teeth when I saw a post from JMO. He'd sent out an email to his list the day prior saying that he was interested in buying a few established sites, and if folks had anything up for sale that they should shoot him an email. He got a ton of emails with people's sites, and as he went through them, it really bummed him out for the people emailing him because the sites were crap. They were utter garbage. I posted a comment to him on his Facebook page and said that I'd seen the same thing with my own subscribers, really with the internet marketing industry as a whole. Now, how sad is it to think about hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people, maybe millions, toiling away at their little websites and waking up every day to an empty ClickBank account and 14 cents in AdSense earnings from the day prior. It's a bummer. It's enough to make me want to climb back into bed and settle into an on-demand 3-day marathon of Teen Mom 2, because really that would leave me more hopeful for those poor people's future. Even with big old hairy problems like this, the absolute last thing I want to do here is write a "you're doing it wrong" kind of blog post to set people straight, because that's me sitting in my Lily Tomlin-esque oversized guru chair and pointing out all of the stupid things people do to mess up their websites. Because you know what? A post like that is really just cheap shock value that panders to people's fear. It's saying you're doing this wrong. It's saying you'll never amount to anything. One post like that just came through my Twitter feed. It was titled, "Are you losing sales because of these stupid mistakes? Maybe not, but don't you want to know?" It's fear, fear, fear. It's distraction, resistance, and fear. Acting from a place of fear is reactionary and it's dangerous. So that's me reading the post and doing the slideshow. So when I'm done, I'd hit escape. And then I can go over here and in my keynote, I can export this into a movie file. So we would go and we would share, export, and we want to export it into a QuickTime movie. Full quality, include audio, include the slideshow. Yeah, it would kind of be missing something if it didn't have that. And then you'll hit next and you'll select where to save it. And I'm going to go put it on my desktop and export. Now off it goes. And it'll take a few minutes, of course, for it to export that into a movie file. Once you've produced the content, your next step is to get it out there in the wild for people to see it. Now, since this is a video that we've created, you would obviously upload that video to YouTube. If it's going to be a series or something you see yourself doing regularly, then go ahead and make a video podcast of it as well. We covered video podcasts in the Always Be Shipping Module 4 video titled Slide Deck to Video. So you can reference that for some information on how to get a podcast feed and how to get that resulting podcast into iTunes. Now, at the very least, participate in YouTube. YouTube is such a huge market, it would really be a shame to pass it up. And really, what's the point of shipping if you're not going to get your work out there to such a big audience? And that's why we do it.